There are different qualities to shade, and very often when we explore the planting catalogs, they give us only two options, full shade and pot shade. And right away the next option would be pot sun. But when we grow the garden, we grow together with the garden, we know that there are many possibilities and many characteristics of shade. So today in this video, let's explore the qualities of shade. Three main influences in our gardens on how plants can tolerate shade, how much shade they can take. Also, I want to have a special hello to a very dedicated 11-year-old gardener from Great Britain, and her name is Naomi Liberty Fleur. Happy gardening and continue painting your garden with flowers. Our gardens are approaching the end of June, the beginning of July, and usually here in our area, here in Connecticut, zone 6-7, July can be very dry, can be very sunny, generally not very hospitable for plants in the garden, especially plants which are facing full sun. So what about shade? Well, usually I like to divide shade in at least 3 different categories, and there are subcategories too. So that would be deep shade, medium shade, and dappled shade. And usually deep shade would be the hardest on the spectrum. Dappled shade would be the most ideal to grow shade-loving plants. But it all depends on 3 different factors: how much plants can tolerate sun, wind, and humidity, and how well they can get adjusted in shady conditions. For example, here, let's start from the most inhospitable type, the deep shade. What is deep shade? No sun at all. During the day, not morning, not afternoon. So when you look here, when you look at these bricks, maybe you won't be able to notice it right now. But yesterday we had a fairly good amount of rain, and today we had this very light drizzle. So when I came to look inside under my blue spruce tree, I noticed that the area here is bone dry, despite a good medium-sized rain yesterday. So look at this, bricks here are getting wet, and here bricks are all dry. But also what makes this area really tough to grow is very strong canopy. And let's look at this tree. This tree, when we moved here 12 years ago, it was my height. And this is blue spruce. And blue spruces grow all the way down with their branches to the ground. We had to trim the lower branches here to raise the canopy. And it looks like I have to go in this winter and trim some of the lower branches again. Why would I want to do that? Well, the areas, the deepest, toughest shade would be under evergreen trees, because they block sunlight spring, summer, fall, and winter. They do lose needles, but they lose needles slowly, so there is always shade here. Talking about deep shade. And spruces are famous for kind of sagging branches. When you cut the lower branches at the bottom, this is what happened right here. We trimmed all the branches at the bottom, but still through the years I see that these branches are going kind of down like this, lower and lower. So there is no question about dappled shade here. There is a question how to make this area maybe sunny at some part of the day and then deep shade at another part of the day. So that will bring this area, hopefully, with trimming of the lower branches, to somewhat easier pot shade. Humidity. If there is more humidity, shade-loving plants are able to take more of sun rays. If the wind is present there, if the shady side is very exposed, then the wind would be the thief of humidity. It will just blow everything out, and plants would need more of a dappled shade. So keep that in mind. Also, the third factor which will influence how much sun or how much shade plants can take would be the quality of soil. And very often, under a thick canopy of the tree, especially hungry trees, especially well-developed trees with well-developed root system, it is tough to grow almost anything. And gardeners should be very inventive, you know. So this is what I'm trying to do here in this spot in the garden. Since my canopy is thick, nothing can go through it, and even with somewhat clearing it, I think the branches still will go down and will block it. So maybe I will get a morning sun here. The soil here is dry as anything. It's populated with roots. I tried to dig it up and roots are all over. That's another thing. If you want to try, if you can plant something in, try not to destroy, go through the roots of a tree. It's okay if you damage it a little bit here and there, it's not a biggie. But believe it or not, a lot of plants, if you make them a nice little pocket with good soil between the roots, make sure you stay on top of watering and you make sure you stay on top of fertilizing to give just extra food to that plant. Plants will tolerate that high amount of presence of roots in the soil. And of course, be ready that all those nutrients which you are giving to your plants under the canopy of tree would be very generously shared by the tree, including their moisture in soil. So if you have something like this, deep shade where nothing can penetrate sun or moisture, you might as well, I mean, I don't tell you to give up, but you might as well invest into pots and just move them around, rotate them from the inside of the tree. I don't want to do that. I'm going to try and bend rules a little bit here. Another option for deep shade would be if the tree is very picturesque looking, the trunk. Maybe it has a beautiful bark structure, bark color, or the structure of the lower branches. Then you can expose those from foliage and just enjoy the bottom structural look of a tree. In my case, my blue spruce doesn't look structural. It has a lot of kind of unsightly cuts from lower branches, so I cannot rely on that beauty aspect. And I do like to bend rules. Who doesn't? I think gardeners are famous for that. They kind of stretch just a little bit further, or try to grow plants not in their right zone or right level of sun and whatnot. So let's move to next level of shade, which would be pot shade. And pot shade can have so many different characteristics. What pot shade? Pot shade is usually at least 4 hours of sun. And it can be morning sun, it can be afternoon sun, it can be evening sun. And the best pot shade would be morning sun, because morning sun usually is gentler, not as intense, not as hot as afternoon sun. And the shady plants get the amount of nice sun without heat, and they continue living through the day in a nice afternoon shade. This area, if I will manage to somehow clear these branches, and branches are not going to lower themselves down again, hopefully I will get a nice morning sun here, because we have east there. We have a light shade of this canopy of this rose here, which is not going to throw the shade on all of this area. But at least a little bit here, the shade would be present. Well, I'm planning to put a wide path here going all the way down. But that would be ideal. I would have the morning sun, afternoon shade, because sun will be behind the house, and hopefully my plants here will be thriving. Pot shade can also be with intermittent shadows, as under the canopy of a tree. And when we look at different trees, keep in mind that there are deciduous trees when leaves fall down, and then are evergreen trees. So deciduous trees, they don't cast any shade in early spring and in winter, of course, and in late fall. So the area under those trees can be a great way to showcase plants which are thriving in early spring. Bulbs, imagine just beautiful daffodils are growing underneath a nice deciduous tree. Keep in mind that more developed trees which are older, do have a very strong root system, and some trees are much hungrier than another. So there is also gradation of deepest shade. So the next level of shade would be dappled shade. And dappled shade is mostly loved by shady plants. The sun moves through the canopy of the tree, and the shade is always moving there. I consider the dappled shade the most interesting, growing through the season because there are a lot of changes. And I like how different flowers and foliages, here comes our neighboring dog, how they play with the sun. And of course, when all the excitement of annual flower border or perennials which are blooming in spring with their bright colors, including our roses at the beginning of June, that excitement is slowly coming down. Our gardens can be a beautiful refuge in the shade where we pay attention, a closer attention to more soft of a flower and more of a foliage color. Just take a look at this area here. I am not touching and not interfering with the spreading of these plants here. And as you can see, the trunk of the tree is here, and the perimeter of branch stretch is right here. And look, my mints do not want to march in. And I mean, mints are marching. The only thing which wants to go in is Vinca minor. And I think I'm going to take Vinca out of here if I'm introducing other plants here, because Vinca is kind of invasive. So I don't want to deal with Vinca all the time. I already pulled her from this area here, where I'm going to install the stone path, and I'm contemplating to do the same with Vinca here. I mean, mint can be pushed on both sides of the path. Mint doesn't, mint spreads like fire, and it doesn't mind. But Vinca is under question here. Oh, I see Virginia creeper here too. You know what? It's a native vine to northeast. Also quite a pest, in the garden if you don't want it. And the reason why it's not in the invasive list, because it is native. What can you do? And it keeps popping up in my garden here and there. It can be a great wall covering. I remember one year we went to the restaurant, and then they had this in New York City, they had this area, very enclosed area, with where the seating area was. And because there were a lot of buildings around, they had to build high fences. So what they did is they built like 3 meters high wooden fence, and planted on another side Virginia creeper. And it went all the way up, and they bent it over and let it cascade down. I looked at it and I said, wow, that effect of very mature vine gracefully just falling down was very beautiful. So there are many good reasons why you should keep Virginia creeper in your garden if you want, but if you don't want, this is a pest. Okay, but I'm talking about Virginia creeper, not shady gardens. So a lot of developments are going to happen here. I'm getting ready. Also, we are having rains almost every day. And I will keep you posted how I'm going to develop this area. So happy gardening, and we will see you in our next video.